The socialist that's now the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, and yes, I'm saying socialist sarcastically, every Republican is screaming about him, and they're scared to death, and they think he's going to basically, call up Fidel Castro, ask him how he can turn the city into a communist haven, and take the firstborn of every Republican. And I mean, the everything that these guys are scared about, it's nothing but pure fear-mongering. There's no actual basis to be afraid of Bill de Blasio. In fact, Bill de Blasio on the political issues is right in the mainstream of America. If you look at the opinion polls on all the different issues, the American people are Bill de Blasio. Well, here's how radical this guy is. I want to give you an update on something that he's pushing for now. So not too long ago, New York City passed a paid sick days law, and it applied to businesses that had over 15 employees, and they get 5 sick days by law. Oh my God, that's too crazy. It feels like we're moving towards anarchism. You get 5 paid days off when you're sick? What is this world coming to? That's egregious. And get this, so it passed, and then Mayor Bloomberg, because he was in power when this happened, he vetoed it. And then, thankfully, the council was able to override the veto, and it became law. Well, Bill de Blasio at the time was still pissed off about this because he said, this bill excludes about 300,000 people. So now what is de Blasio pushing for? He wants the law to apply to businesses with 5 or more employees instead of 15 or more employees, and he still wants to keep it the 5 sick paid days. Oh, you radical you socialist commie pinko asshole. I mean, what's wrong with you, man? What do you want to go move to the Soviet Union, you douchebag? Yeah, is this radical? This is why I wanted to do this segment. This is why I wanted to cover this. That's not radical. That's the furthest thing from radical I could ever imagine. In fact, if you look at the polls on issues like this, paid vacation days, paid sick days, paid maternity leave, and paternity leave, the American people are like, yeah, we're getting fucked. We would appreciate it if the government actually legislated to help us out a little bit and give us, enough time to actually breathe and live life like a human being instead of just renting ourselves out to these corporate overlords 24/7 without having any free time whatsoever. You know what else he pushed for? One of the first things he talks about was, I am going to raise taxes on millionaires in New York City, a grand total of, I think the number was $973 a year, and I'm going to take that money and I'm going to do universal pre-K in the city. That's radical. So what? Donald Trump needs to pay essentially the cost of a muffin a day, right? In order to send everybody's kids in the city to pre-K. This is radical. Raising taxes $973 on millionaires is radical. Again, it's the furthest thing from radical. Did you know 69% of the American people are in favor of raising taxes on the rich? In fact, they were in favor of the Obama plan of raising on people who make $250,000 or above. And Obama caved, by the way, and he only did it for people that make $400,000 or $450,000 and above. But again, the American people are progressive. They like the direction that Bill de Blasio is taking the city. I mean, the guy won. What was the percentage of the vote that he won? I think it was like one of the most overwhelming victories I've ever seen in my life. You think Chris Christie's victory was overwhelming? 60% in New Jersey? I think this guy's was like 72% or something ridiculous. So, bottom line here, spare me. Bill de Blasio, not only is he not radical, he ran a campaign, like, I would say, right in line with where I am on the political spectrum, maybe a little to the left of where I am, but he's governing further to the right than I am. So another example of that is he said that he would stop doing stop and frisks, and he hasn't. He just hired a guy who will be, stricter with doing stop and frisks, and he will limit the number of stop and frisks that they do. But he didn't eliminate it. So this all goes back to a theory that I've talked about on the show before, and I'm starting to believe it more and more as time goes by. At first it was an idea I threw out there, and I wasn't totally convinced of it. Now I'm 100% convinced of it, that if you are a liberal, a progressive, an actual old school Democrat living in the U.S., you should vote for candidates who are to the left of you. You should. Because guess what? It's not like that guy's going to get in and just have, a mandate to do every single thing that they campaigned on. No, they have to fight for the things. So if you vote for somebody who's to the left of you, then maybe they end up actually getting policies that are like slightly to the right of you. And that seems to be the case with what's going on here with Bill de Blasio. I mean, look, if I'm mayor of New York City, paid sick days that apply to businesses with over 5 employees and they get 5 days off, please, I'm at least pushing for, 6 weeks paid vacation by law. Now, don't get me wrong. I will allow for, reasonable exceptions in the law. So, for example, if your business is a startup and you don't have a lot of money and you can't afford that, I understand. I do. I definitely do. So you graduate the scale and you say, well, if you have 5 employees or more, if your profits are X amount or more, then you can only get 3 weeks, or you can only get a certain amount paid and a certain amount unpaid. I'm a reasonable guy. I can look at the reality of it and change my mind, right? And inject more empiricism into the discussion than just a broad sweeping idea. But that's what I would push for, and that's way to the left of Bill de Blasio, and they're calling this guy radical. Well, I got news for you. He's not radical, and I'm not radical. We are right in the mainstream of the American population, and we agree with them.